Hi everyone. Uh, Welcome. Grab a coffee, a tea, or even a beer if you're in a bit of a rock and roll mood, because today we're diving into something very particular, very dense. Something I absolutely love analyzing because honestly, every time the sky blows my mind. Bitcoin. And let me warn you right away, we're taking our time today. Not 5 minutes in a rush. No, a real moment together. A moment where we unwind the thread, where we look, where we reflect, where we let things slowly settle. Because Bitcoin, you don't treat it carelessly. Not financially, not astrologically. And I'm going to start with something I adore, Bitcoin's astrological profile, because before we talk about what it's doing today, why it dropped, what it might do in the next 3 months or in 2026, you have to understand who it is like a person. Because a natal chart is a personality. And Bitcoin, yes, Bitcoin has a personality. So, Bitcoin was born on January 3rd, 2009 at 6:15 p.m. UTC, a little Capricorn baby. And from that alone, we already know. We know this thing was never meant to die quietly in a corner. Capricorn is the survivor, the stoic, the grumpy old sage who keeps walking in the middle of a storm while everyone else has already taken shelter in a bar. Capricorn is the one who says, I don't need anyone, I'm solid, I'm slow but consistent, I build, I structure, I endure. And you know what? When you look at Bitcoin over the last 15 years, you see exactly that people hate it, people worship it, they announce its death 40 times a year, and it just doesn't move. It keeps going, keeps climbing, keeps resisting, keeps absorbing shocks. It just doesn't care what anyone says. And when you look at its chart, things become even clearer. Pluto, Saturn, Capricorn everywhere. I call that the trinity of things that survive nuclear explosions. Pluto is everything that dies and comes back stronger. Saturn is structure, discipline, karma, cold realism. And Bitcoin has both, baked right into its identity. It cannot disappear. It's not built for that. It's built to outlast. And then look at the context. Bitcoin was born in the ashes of 2008. The financial world was burning down, banks collapsing, governments printing money like crazy trying to save what was left. And right there, Bitcoin arrives like a kid coming out of a field hospital saying, well, you've ruined everything. I guess I'll have to take over. Symbolically, it's gorgeous, almost biblical. And now that you've met the character, let's get into what so many of you asked me recently. Why Bitcoin dropped? Because yes, I called it, and no, I don't have God on speed dial. I just looked at the sky. We had Mars in Scorpio, and Mars in Scorpio, how do I put it? That's the energy of incision, crisis, purging. The stuff you can't hold back anymore. It's the archetype of a surgeon saying, all right, this is gonna hurt, but we have to open. And Mars in Scorpio was hitting Bitcoin's Capricorn core with direct tension. It was like smashing a wall with a jackhammer. Something had to give and it did. But wait, it doesn't stop there, because that would be too easy, right? At the same time, we had Uranus in Taurus getting triggered, and Uranus in Taurus is pure cosmic rodeo. Taurus represents everything stable, value, money, the things that don't move. Uranus is lightning, shock, disruption, rupture. So Uranus in Taurus is like shaking a vault until all the gold bars fall out. So picture it. Mars in Scorpio on one side, Uranus in Taurus on the other, Bitcoin in the middle, and Mercury retrograde above it to confuse literally everyone. It was the perfect recipe for a drop. It was written honestly, and that's exactly what we got. Now, let's move on, because now we enter the juicy part, the next 3 months. And let me tell you right away, we're about to live a little novel. So, first, November. It's a nervous month. There are still aftershocks. weird electric flickers from Mars and Uranus. We're not in stability yet. We're not in softness. We're in the tail end of the storm. In that phase, Bitcoin can very well dip a bit more. Nothing catastrophic, but dip. A symbolic low zone, minus 5%, minus 10%, sometimes minus 15%, totally coherent with this sky. Then comes early December, and my friends, this is where the sky opens. Jupiter comes back to support Bitcoin. Venus brings sweetness, beauty, confidence. Mercury retro moves away. Everything becomes smoother. It's a real bullish window, not a tiny wave, a clean, fluid, positive window. Symbolically, you can get plus 10%, plus 15%, plus 20%, not a crazy bull run, but a true breath of optimism. Then, late December/early January, quiet, a plateau. The market breathes, no panic, no euphoria. It watches, it waits. And then, January 2nd, Mars enters Capricorn. And listen, that's not violins playing in the background. Mars in Capricorn is dry cold. It's discipline. It's a cosmic sit down, empty your glass. We're going back to work. Bitcoin hates Mars in Capricorn. It hits its natal chart right on the nose. Symbolically, we can get minus 10%, minus 15%, minus 20%, almost mechanically, like the market saying, we're going down, we're cleaning up. But then, after January 22nd, everything loosens. Mars moves on, the sky breathes, Bitcoin regains peace, structure, clarity. And by mid-February, we are back in a constructive dynamic. Plus 10%, plus 15% symbolically, nothing excessive, nothing showy, just a clean recovery. And now that all this is clear, we can finally move to the epic piece, 2026. I'm going to be very honest. 2026 is one of the biggest astrological years in Bitcoin's entire history. Truly, not because I want to hype it up, because the transits are massive. First, Uranus finally leaves Taurus. Hallelujah. We're exiting 8 years of earthquakes, instability, and shocks to value. We're turning off the shaking machine. Then Uranus enters Gemini. And this is beautiful. Gemini is the sign of speed, networks, information, exchange, technology. It's literally the vibe of blockchains, protocols, fast transactions. It's like Bitcoin receives a cosmic update, go on, upgrade to version 2.0. And during all this, Jupiter is in Cancer, and Cancer is the sign of families, households, everyday life, normal people. What does that mean? It means Bitcoin begins to enter real life, the actual life, not just the geeks, not just the ultra specialized investors, actual households, families, individual savers. Domestic economics, Jupiter in Cancer asks, can Bitcoin become a tool of security, a tool of transmission, a pillar of wealth, something you keep safe at home? And then, in the summer of 2026, Jupiter moves into Leo, and that completely changes the vibe. Leo is the show, the spotlight, the visibility, the recognition, the flamboyant, look at me, I exist. So 2026 has two tones. First half, anchoring, legitimacy, integration into daily life. Second half, spotlight, media exposure, symbolic power. And finally, above all that, Pluto in Aquarius keeps doing its enormous digital transformation work. We're talking civilizational cycles, not little market swings. Pluto in Aquarius is technological revolution, systemic transformation. Society reorganizing around the digital Bitcoin was born for this era. It's its playground, its ecosystem, its destiny. So 2026 is the year Bitcoin shifts from rebellious teenager to central figure, a pillar, a serious actor. There you go. Thanks for staying. Breathe, take it in. We observe, we analyze, and above all, we never get ourselves worked up into a lather. See you very soon on Astrobourse.